Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Naven Gaming, where today I'm not gonna be doing at least I'm not gonna be doing a recap. I actually want to take this moment to thank everybody who has been supporting this series so far. I've noticed that out of all of the content I've ever out of all the playthroughs I've ever made, this is the one series that's gotten the most views. Not gonna lie, that's a little surprising and a bit strange to me, because this is a CRPG. Why is a CRPG getting the most traction? I don't know. But anyways, I just want to take this time to say thank you all so much for watching, supporting my content, and to a degree. I mean, like, the fact that there's 30, what was it? What was the last count that I saw? 38 views on this thing for my first episode. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And my second episode got 28, or maybe it was 35 and 28. But anyways, regardless, that's a lot of views. I was not expecting that at all. And some of you have even left likes on my videos, and I'm both humbled and shocked that people actually liked this series, or that people are liking this series so far. This is going to be, granted, this is like several episodes in, but since at the time of the recording of this particular video, and and I only, and I've only seen the, like the YouTube analytics, within the span of like the days that I've been posting my videos and shit. Anyways, that's neither here or there. The point is that I just wanted to take the time to say thank you. It's going to be a little late to the party. I might just release another video, like early, either today or maybe for tomorrow. Like maybe I'll just make a random ranting video because I like to rant so much. Maybe I'll make a random, like, literal Discord video about stupid shit of me just ranting and raving about nonsense. But, like, otherwise, like, I just wanted to say thank you. And, again, I'm just shocked. That's a lot of people. Like, I usually get maybe, like, the one or two, sometimes 12 people to view something, but I'm shocked that people are interested in this particular series, and it's been a very humbling experience all around. Some of you have also left dislikes, which I can't disagree with that either. There's a good helping of likes to dislikes ratio for this series so far. It's like 2 likes and 2 dislikes. But it's like, I get it. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It's a CRPG, plus with a guy who constantly talks ad nauseum about dumb shit, right? It's, that's just par for the course, right? I'm going to get people who are going to both like it, and I'm going to get people who are just like, can we just get on with it already? Or they're just not going to like me personally. I have no idea. I don't know what you people think of me. You only leave dislikes. I don't see you people commenting. So I don't know what to say about any of that other than thank you for the likes, and also for the people who have left dislikes, I guess tell me why you didn't like my video. I mean, it would be nice to know why you don't like my content. It's but it's fine. We can definitely, if you don't like it, you just don't like it. And if you don't want to say the reason why you don't like it, that's also totally fine. I'm just curious. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get back into it, shall we? So, one thing I will make note of is that for a while now, oh, there it goes. Every time I move my model, it seems to glitch out. Oh, shit. It seems to glitch out or something. There we go. Why are you having such a problem? I don't remember VTube Studio having this much of a stutter before. It's kind of funny how that's working. I don't know what's causing that. I really don't. That seems good enough. Anyways, I will say one thing though. So I was playing this game on my main profile, my main gaming profile, and a little bit, because I thought, like I'm pretty far enough away into the series, and I'm kind of interested to see what what playing the game just on my own would be like, and surprisingly enough, like it helps me become more in tune with the mechanics. But one of the interesting things that I wanted to know going back into the beginning half of this game was not only just getting a refresher on all of the events that took place, but also I wanted to take a look at what exactly happened with Theodora, and also, is there anything more I can glean from going back and getting a refresher on that crime scene? And here's one of the interesting factors. You know that Argenta theory that I had? It's becoming more and more likely. And I have a specific reason for this. Okay, so Argenta, you don't see her at all in the beginning part of the game, but you do see her after you see Theodora go into the elevator leading to the captain's quarters, right? One of the interesting things about that is that you then meet Argenta sometime after that, right? After you find Idira and, meet the Navigator and all that other shit and save the Navigator from the heretics. And one of the interesting things about that encounter was that the crime scene did specify that the bullets that were used to kill both Mort and Theodora were by an auto pistol or an auto gun of some kind, right? Well, guess who starts out with an auto pistol in their inventory when you first get them? Theodora. She starts with an auto pistol. She has a bolter, but in her second weapon what's the way to put this? In her second weapon loadout, she has an auto pistol. And so, because we know for a fact that Adelfrad wasn't the one who was responsible for that shit, and because we know that Voidver was the kind of person who wanted her to suffer more so than anything else, and he even was like, no, how could this be? She shouldn't be dead. I still have so many things I want to do before that, He wanted her to suffer, and even I kind of got the inkling of that earlier on. So, again, this begs the question, who killed her? Well, in the lack of suspects, who's the only other person who would be in a better position to do so, while simultaneously having the right amount of evidence to be implicated? And also, again, simultaneously, who has the biggest bone or chip to grind when it comes to anything that involves heretical artifacts? Which is something that Theodora did have in her possession before she died. It's Argenta. So, it's just a matter of looking at the evidence and the process of elimination. Who fits the bill? It's going to be Argenta. And so I'm convinced that Argenta is our culprit, but we shall see. But yes, last we left off, there is a brewing mutiny on the ship as a result of Abelard's making. And I'm not sure how to feel about that, but we're going to delve into it and see if maybe this is something that needs reprimanding. Also, in my other playthrough, I did something a little zany on my main account. I'm going with a straight soldier, type of character on this playthrough, but in my other playthrough, I'm going with a very bizarre character archetype, and that is a psyker who is a blade dancer. Very weird archetype, but I'm going with it. I'm going to run with it anyways because I just, sometimes I like the idea of doing cool shit or making cool shit even if the game thinks that's kind of a very unorthodox thing to do, is like speccing things in weird ways. I'm just that kind of person. I'm just like, what's the one thing that I could do that might be unique or surprisingly, badass? Oh, let's make a blade dancer who's also a psyker. That would be dope, right? Anyways, that's just, what I've been up to. Also, that character is dogmatic. He's a psyker who, in the way that I spect him, he's someone who, after a mistake that he made on another void ship like this one, that killed most of the crew and left him the surviving member. That's one of the backgrounds you can choose. He's been permanently scarred for life, quite literally, and now he does not like being put in positions of power. I even got the secret ending where I deny the Call of Duty so much that I literally got the ending where it's just like, and thus he fucked off and was never seen again. Perhaps he was assassinated. Perhaps he was not. Who would know? It's just who knows? But he perhaps died as a result of what happened to the planets, and it's like, well, that's a fucking spoiler.
Keep your wits.
But otherwise, yeah, I thought that was funny. A dozen pairs of eyes stare apprehensively at you. The people before you are typical inhabitants of the lower decks. You take in their simple clothing, crude weapons, and faces that display varying levels of mutation, from barely discernible to the strange to the outright grotesque. Oh, we got one who's willing to meet with us. Which I believe that was kind of the point, was to organize a meeting, right? Rivet. A whisper passes through the crowd, and you detect a mixture of fear, astonishment, and joy in their reactions. Finally, 3 people break away from the crowd, an elderly woman and 2 men. These must be the leaders. They bow clumsily before you. It's hard to get a good camera angle on this scene when it's hyper-fixated on our Argenta for some reason, I think. No, it's just focused on this particular angle of the scene, which is weird. Alright. Lord Captain, you have come down to us. Tell me what is troubling you. We were attacked on the way here. Tell me what is troubling you. Why are you striking? Striking? That's news to us. Your lordship, says a tall, thin man in worker's garb. All we're doing is asking questions, saying what we think. Shut up, Rivet, snaps the old woman, who turns her hostile, dark eyes on you. Here's the deal, your lordship. Your damned enforcers are all over us down here. They say they're looking for cultists. One wrong word and they're reaching for their batons. If they want to punish someone, they turn off the heating to the whole base for a week at a time, so we get sick and freeze. In my clan, 2 little ones died from inflammation in their lungs, all because of those enforcers. The old woman spits on the floor and rubs at the spittle with the toe of her worn-out shoe. Argenta does not interrupt the workers, but you see the sadness well in her eyes when the children's deaths are mentioned. She quietly whispers a requiem prayer and makes a sign over herself. Oh, so she likes children. Well, that kind of makes sense. She's kind of a nun, right? I'm kind of curious what her backstory is. I still haven't figured out how to fucking talk to her, by the way. If anyone knows how to talk to your companions outside of the ablution thing, and it turns out after previously visiting it again, I can't invite Argenta in there again. Do feel free to let me know. Maybe it's just not accessible right now, but it's kind of weird that, when at your earliest convenience, Lord Captain, can you speak to me in private? And it's like, sure. I proceed to never find a means or a time to actually do so, despite wanting to. It's all true. Vent is the only enforcer officer who stood up for us. It's clear as day who had a mother from the lower decks, and who grew up amidship, and has no fellow feeling toward us. The grim man with a scarred face throws up his arms. Okay, so It's clear as day who had a mother from the lower decks and who grew up amidships and has no fellow feeling toward us. I see. The grim man with a scarred face throws up his arms. Your lordship, we're no villains here. We're honest workers, your servants. We've plotted no disorder. We went on strike openly, and now we've got guns pointed at us. All we're doing is asking to be allowed to work in peace without being harassed. The persecution started apropos of nothing. You say, I was told that one of you was found in possession of a cultist. Yeah. The persecution started apropos of nothing, you say? I was told that one of you was found in possession of a cultist amulet, and that there are heretics hiding here. A cultist amulet? What's that? The gewgaw they found on the dead drunkard? If it was something evil or forbidden, we sure didn't know. The enforcers just said they were looking for heretics among us, and anyone obstructing their investigation would be punished. But how could there be heretics here? We know our own people. There have been no new faces around. Definitely not. If there were, we'd be the first to report them. And as for this amulet, or whatever it is, they took it off a dead body? There are no cultists still breathing in our sector, that's for sure. But when that fight broke out, some enterprising folks looted the bodies. The boots they came back with, nobody's ever tread these decks in boots so fine. I can tell you that. Seems to me these cultists have better commanders than us. Oh yeah, those boots really were fine. And there was no harm in taking them, right? As for the amulet, it must have been pocketed by someone who didn't know any better. We didn't need any amulets around here. We don't need any amulets around here. We all worship the Emperor. And when we're working, we bow down before the machine spirits of the large and small transformers and the servo motor. The same way my grandfather was taught 100 years ago by a tech priest who came calling. Believe us, your lordship, we are people of faith. Naive children. Weren't you taught from an early age about the dangers of the arch-enemy's creations? Weren't you warned that any unfamiliar object could be one of them? We were told, Holy Sister, but it was long ago. The last time we saw a confessor in our sector, it was just after I'd had my third little one. That is regrettable. But you cannot lay the burden of leading a righteous life on the shoulders of the Holy Fathers. Who will you blame when beasts crawl out of those amulets you stole from the heretics? The Holy Father was not here, or the scavenger who brought evil down on himself and his neighbors. The Holy Father who was not there, or the scavenger who brought evil down. I feel like I read that wrong. Let me try that again. That is regrettable, but you cannot lay the burden of leading a righteous life on the shoulders of the Holy Fathers. Who will you blame when beasts crawl out of those amulets you stole from the heretics? The Holy Father who was not there, or the scavenger who brought evil down on himself and his neighbors? I feel like that came off better now. Abelard, do you have anything to add? I authorize the use of all necessary measures to locate Chaos worshippers hiding in this sector. The specific steps taken by the officers were now reported to me. Abelard frowns, clearly disgruntled at having to explain himself in the workers' presence. Nevertheless, I am certain that their actions were justified. Cultists are no drunken stevedoers. They are the enemy and threat to the ship. Neutralizing them demands a decisive action. Sarbach, was it really necessary to torture these people with cold? The rabble understands only one language, Lord Captain, that of violence. As per regulation, should the laborers persist in their unwillingness to cooperate, the next step is limiting air supply and cutting off water, which is almost certain to restore order. The peasants can grumble all they want, but in the end, they are the source of their own misery. All they have to do is bow their heads and fall in line, and the need for punitive measures will disappear. But it's clear that there's more going on here than just a need for punitive measures because they're just having, they're just throwing a temper tantrum. They're not children, literally. We were attacked on the way here. How do you explain that? Here's an explanation for you. The people have been pushed to their limits, and now they're lashing out. As if we don't know why these top deck units are being sent down here, like that one there that the lieutenant won't let past. Our clans are all inside the bays that's been sealed off, but the lower decks are big. I'm sure there are some people who've had just about enough. We're getting it from all sides. The soldiers have encircled the ones who've risen up. A death squad has just arrived. It's no wonder folk are lashing out. Awareness test succeeded. Their words seem sincere to you. Their body language and the glances traded between them reveal that the news of the attack has shocked them. What changes do you want? Would you look at this? The exalted Lord Captain himself is asking us bilge-rats what we want. Well, here's what we want you to rein in your damned enforcers, to quit turning off the heat and to stop battering everything that moves. No, that's not it. We want the enforcers gone from here, and we want to be armed. Give us arms, and we'll govern ourselves. We'll defend ourselves if these cultists do show their faces. I've been leader of my clan for 20 years now. Getting rid of these club-wielding thugs can only improve things around here. You've gone too far, old man. They'll never let the maggots on the lower decks live without the enforcers breathing down our necks. They probably even insist on enforcers on the upper decks, too. As for weapons, what do we need them for? Before the first day's out, we'll have someone shooting their neighbor out of stupidity or drunkenness. We don't need that. If the enforcers stop hassling us, that'll be enough. In return, we'll find the scavengers who robbed the cultist bodies, and we'll talk to them, one lower deck to another. If there are any of those damned amulets about, we'll hand them over to the enforcers ourselves. See, Stager seems like the reasonable guy. I think I like Stager's idea a little better. You speak for yourself and your clan. I'll speak for me and mine. I don't want empty gestures. I want real change. They'll promise us the world now, but as soon as the Anointed One turns his back, these brutes will be on us even harder than before, all because we dared to speak out. The tall worker's eyes dart between the two arguing leaders. Every few seconds, he opens his mouth as if planning to agree, but each time he falls silent, simply making a few vague noises of approval. Coercion. This is a sound argument. Spreading anarchy on the ship is the first step toward embracing chaos. Putting weapons into the untrained hands would be even worse. What's more, the enforcers are needed to maintain oversight and order. Withdraw those demands, and we will consider the rest. Coercion test succeeded. The tall worker they call Rivet shrugs and casts a sidelong look at the old woman. Old man, listen, listen. The Lord Captain himself has come down to us and is offering concessions. And I don't know a single person in the whole of Depot 4 who's ever stood next to the rogue traitor, let alone talk to them. Back down. Now's no time for you to be a stubborn old crone. Listen to us, old man. The 3 clans of Depot 4 ought to act as one. We made our minds up. It's your turn to decide. Don't ask them to disband the enforcers or give us weapons. We don't need any of that. The old woman hisses in dissatisfaction. You two are gaining up on me, is that it? So brave you are against an old woman. But I'll shut up. I will indeed. I won't go against 2 clan leaders on my own. If you want to make peace with the enforcers, make your peace. That's great, just fantastic. Lord Captain, we are all agreed. Thoughts, Abelard? The story about going scavenging for boots and accidentally picking up a heretical amulet doesn't convince me. These people were moments away from rebelling and, possibly, becoming minions of the archenemy. We must not give them what they want. Even if they did acquire something innocently, purely out of their own stupidity. That does not mean they are not tainted with corruption. Okay, you might have a point, but even so, They clearly do not seem to be wanting a full-on rebellion. They want just to talk things out. And we are here to do exactly that, just talk things out. What begins as petty thievery can turn into a far graver problem. I have seen it before. Abelard's face darkens momentarily. In my second war, there was a sergeant in the Imperial Guard regiment that was stationed nearby. The sergeant took an ordinary pocket knife from the body of a heretic, and his whole unit lost their lives for it. When they finally managed to break into the barracks, they found not a single survivor, only the pocket knife, which had grown through all the rows of beds like a metal choking vine. So when it's come to scavengers, malcontents, strikers, or whatever they'll turn into next, my verdict is simple. Give them no quarter. Master at Arms, where do you stand? Give the rabble a grox, and they will take an agri world. Lord Captain, they only understand brute force, and will interpret any concession as a sign of weakness. Giving them weapons and recalling the enforcers would be folly. It would only be a matter of time before we had a full-scale mutiny on our hands. I mean, give them an inch and take a mile is an interesting way to put that in the 40k sense. But yeah, she's also got a point there. But, you know, I think these people are genuinely just annoyed and they just want to be listened to. And that's what we're here to do. I will give them concessions. And if they abuse these gifts, then yes, we will put our foot down and we will put these people back in line if necessary. Then it's decided. The persecution will stop, and I will expect you to assist in locating any remaining amulets or weapons left by the cultists. Your lordship, thank you. You have not abandoned us lower deckers. You came yourself and settled everything. I'll tell my grandchildren about this. Of course, your lordship. We'll root out any nasty business faster than the enforcers, and we'll leave no stone unturned. I'll bet you it's the old lady.
Let us not dawdle.
This is where the start of each shift is marked. The last mark is missing. The workers went on strike. Yeah, that's to be expected, right? The heat sink warms the air around it to a scorching temperature. This is the warmest part of the bay. The workers have been dragged deck chairs. The workers have even dragged deck chairs here. Okay.
I always keep my options open.
If I can fucking read. One thing that I forgot Abelard can do is that his eye can sometimes detect things as well as other characters, so I just sometimes like to rummage around just to see if I can discover anything lootable.
Do you see that?
Speak of the goddamn devil.
The whispers told me how.
The gauge shows that the steam pressure in this pipe is close to the maximum, however, it does not reach the bars something.
I always have a backup plan.
Stopping unexpectedly, Abelard imperiously dismisses the units to stand at a distance and addresses your other companions, saying, I have an urgent matter to discuss with the Lord Captain. Please give us a moment. I hit continue. Abelard looks at you, and his last vestiges of restraint vanish. Well, are you pleased with your investigation, Lord Captain? You kowtow to the disloyal rabble. You believe their lies and show them leniency. Next time the ship is attacked by cultists, that rabble will welcome them in with open arms and allow them to wreak whatever havoc they like because they see you as a weak leader. Is that how you see your future at the helm of the Von Valencia's protectorate? Interesting. This is very fascinating. So, we're finally getting a moment where Abelard is going mask off and is finally telling us how he really feels. Let's talk about your role in all this instead. You allowed this revolt to happen, your actions practically guaranteed it would. I would have handled the situation myself had you not decided to intervene, Abelard says irascibly? Irascibly? Okay, I don't know how to say that. I don't even know what the fuck this is. Remember Lord Captain Theodora. Do you think she ever set one slippered foot on the lower decks? No, she did not. Such matters were left to myself and the junior officers while she dedicated herself to her grand designs for the Protectorate, as any true strategist and rogue trader ought. Maybe this one's gonna sting really hard, isn't it? Maybe if Theodora had spent more time on trifling matters, she wouldn't have wound up dead. There is a new Lord Captain aboard this ship now, and I will not repeat her mistake. Abelard looks at you, stunned, and exhales loudly. Then he nods curtly. I commend your decisiveness, but I am uncomfortable with introducing new protocols in the midst of crisis. And Abelard stands straight at attention. I lost my temper, Lord Captain, and I believe I ought to explain myself. Abelard speaks slowly, the words not coming easily to him. The prosperity of the Von Valencia's protectorate is not just an empty phrase to me. I left the Imperial Navy for the chance to see it flourish. It was the most momentous decision of my life. I did it because I saw in Lord Captain Theodora's deed the sign of true greatness. Rogue traders do not simply forge new routes and capture worlds. They create order out of anarchy. That creative impulse was entirely lacking during my time in the military. So I left behind everything I had known, everything my family had known. I come from a long line of officers, and I embarked upon this incredibly reckless venture. Lord Captain Theodora entrusted me with all of the concerns she had no time for. She would go off on her flagship for long periods to distant frontiers on scouting voyages, and the advancement of the entire protectorate rested on my shoulders. And then suddenly, everything had been built over years and years began to quake, rattling like a flimsy hanger on a seismically active world. One of the senior officers betrayed us all. The rogue trader was killed, and who knows what is happening on the planets. I tell you this honestly, without fear of appearing weak. All this has come as a grievous blow to me. I am not panicking or grieving because I cannot allow myself to panic or grieve. I am duty-bound to aid the rogue traitor, to aid you, to find your footing as quickly as possible. And to do that, I must insulate you from problems that in the past have been dealt with by tried and tested procedures set out in the ship's regulations. Procedures that were established long ago and have functioned smoothly for decades cannot suddenly be deemed excess to requirements. He's fine for feeling that way. He's totally valid and fine for feeling that way, but he's going too far with it. And because I don't ever hear anything that goes on this ship, that becomes a problem to me specifically. And I think that would become a problem for a lot of people. And so the fact that I have to see a problem or experience a problem that has gotten so out of hand because the people in charge of taking care of it can't do their goddamn jobs, well, guess what? I'm not going to be happy about it. You're not going to be happy about it. And so who's going to be at fault here? It's going to be you. It's going to be me. It's going to be everyone involved, right? It's not going to be the people who are revolting, because the fact that it gotten that far that they need to revolt speaks more to the situation itself and to the people in charge than it does the actual people doing it, right? The fact that you let it get this far is a testament to your own inadequacies and also, just in general, your inability to adapt to the ever-shifting circumstances. So yes, this is your fault. I'm sorry you feel this way. I'm sorry that you're kind of in a very disparaging situation where you're kind of have to be a rock in a hard place, but this is not the time to start beating people over the head with procedure and, well, whatever is typically tradition on the ship. All right? Procedure and etiquette means nothing in the face of danger. All right? And if the people are feeling like that their lives are being impeded and that their ability to do their job is also, also being impeded, well, guess what? If they can't even do the basic function for which they are required to do, to essentially do because of some overreaching nonsense that you yourself are executing, that's a problem. And nothing functions when one of the pieces on this cog that is this ship goes out of whack, right? So stop overextending yourself. Stop overreaching. Stop trying to do invasive things and stop trying to lord over other people like you're some crazy zealot, and just fucking govern them and govern them appropriately. If there are signs of heresy and if there are signs of problems on the decks that need addressing, then all you have to do is send people to investigate them, not with armed weapons, but just to ask questions. And don't do it overtly, do it subtly. You don't need to do this. And it's clear that not a whole lot of people on this deck have any sort of grievance with us specifically. They don't even seem to know that there are heretical artifacts according to them. And if that's the case, the easiest solution, if you just, lended a fucking ear, would have been obvious. Just hire one of these fucking morons to then investigate the situation. Just look for the quietest person on the deck, ask them to eavesdrop on several conversations, give them decent rations and food for doing so, organize a drop box and deposit for where they can both get their reward and also their ability to receive their instructions, as well as be able to report on what they found, and just call it a day. Why do I have to do your job for you, Abelard? Tell me why I have to do your fucking job for you. Moving on. The Order trusted in established procedure, and she died. I won't make the same mistake. If you want to keep building the future of the Von Valencia's protectorate with me, stop living in the past. Damn, there's a lot of interesting responses, I can already tell. Alright. The prosperity... No, wait. I understand, but you need to learn how to respect me as your Lord Captain and the Rogue Trader and accept... Start living in the new world, a world where the Theodora is gone, where you... and I have new decisions to make. I have seen plenty of sentiment in Henry in recent days, but very little competence. I have no plans to rely on your judgment of your tried and tested procedures in the future. I'm honestly tempted to say 5, but I don't want to make Abelard... I don't want to put Abelard on the defensive, right? He still has use for me. I don't want to say he has no use for me, but I do want to emphasize that his ability to lead and to govern the decks in any fashion has continuously shown to me that his ability to lead and to establish authority is very suspect, and I would like to see improvement on this front. And I don't really see a real, genuine dialogue option that truly states to me, this is something that needs to stop and you need to adapt to this shifting circumstances, except for maybe 1 or 2. If you want to keep building the future of the Protectorate with me, stop living in the past. 2 seems like the fairer option. I think I'll choose this one. I understand, but you need to learn how to respect me as your Lord Captain and Rogue Trader. Accept it and start living in a new world. A world where Theodora is gone and where you and I have new decisions to make. Abelard solemnly inclines his head. Yes, Lord Captain. After a moment's silence, he adds, looking at you with interest. Your resolve is admirable, and demonstrates strong leadership. I shall remember this moment, should my old habits ever begin to creep back in. Okay, so that resolved itself rather well. And now, please let us leave the lower decks. If the Rogue Trader desires to stretch his legs, there are far more suitable places. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
A level up. We got a level up out of this, boys. Firearm Mastery. Until the end of the soldier's turn, they gain a 4+ MP. Oh, this is another special ability. And it has layers. Until the end of the soldier's turn, they gain 4+ MP, and their attacks do not spend MP. So that means... So what you're saying is that my Firearms Mastery essentially gives me the ability to use my firearms without impeding my movement. That's interesting. Until the end of combat, the soldier's rate of fire is increased by 30%. How does rate of fire even judge this? Let me see. Until the end of combat, the soldier's rate of fire is increased. No, I want to know what that means. Ranged weapon parameter that determines the number of shots per attack. If the value of this parameter is higher than 1, then the weapon can make burst attacks. Oh, okay. So single shots I don't even need to do. This is just to determine whether or not I can do burst shots and how many shots I can make within that burst, I'm assuming. Alright, until the end of combat, all the soldiers' attacks are 20% harder to dodge. Until the end of combat, the soldier's ranged attacks gain 10% armor penetration. Alright, that's kind of nice. Until the end of soldier's turn, each of their area attacks deal additional damage equal to the number of attacked targets. This is all pretty nice, actually. Wait. Oh, I'm choosing the upgrade. Oh, okay. I was confused for a second. I'm like, what am I doing? In that case, let's see. Until the end of the soldier's turn, they gain... Until the end of combat, soldiers' rate of fire is increased. Until the end of combat... This one's a little better to me. So I'm thinking of going with this one. In all honesty. Yeah. Daring Breach. Daring Breach also grants 10 plus movement points until the end of the turn. The warrior does not provoke attacks of opportunity this turn. Okay, so that's nice. Until the end of combat, the warrior gains 4 plus movement points for each kill and may use their MP after attacking or using abilities. For 1 round, the warrior becomes the priority target for every enemy hit by their melee attacks. Also, the warrior gains 20% parry and 2 plus deflection until the end of combat. That's actually pretty good. That makes them a tank, literally. We're going to go with this one. This is so tanky, it's not even funny. So does that mean if I just travel around on the stupid galaxy map that I'll just, you know, everybody will just want to talk to me about an urgent problem? Is that how I get Argenta to open up to me? I have no idea. But I'm assuming that's how it's going to go. $94, $95. Alrighty. Back on this ship and ready to roll again. Hopefully this time. Actually, I wonder if Abelard has anything new to say.
Lord Captain.
Abelard greets you with customary courtesy, but makes sure to scan you from head to toe with his scrutinizing gaze. Nothing new.
Lord Captain.
There's a ship. Okay. Now, hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, we'll finally do it. We'll finally get it. We'll finally get to it. We'll finally get to Rykod Minoris. I'm curious. Looking for trouble. Let's go ahead and just get rid of that. How do I get to this? Hang on. If I go back to the ship and I open the map, will it show me an indicator where I need to go for it? Because this has been something that I've been trying to figure out for a while now, and I'm getting too ahead where I just want to deal with it. Oh, she's right here on the ship. Okay. So they are just here on the ship. Just in this room. That's kind of annoying. She's right here. Alright.
Rogue trader.
Sister Argenta looks tired. There are dark circles under her eyes. Her hair is somewhat disheveled, and she moves like she's a little on edge. You said you had a personal request for me.
I indeed have a request, Rogue Trader.
Okay, no dialogue. The accursed servants of chaos who assaulted this ship took the lives of your loyal crew members, and they orphaned many children, including the progeny of the brave officers who defended their posts until the bitter end. I don't know what customary practices there are for cases like this in Von Valencia's territory, but in the world I'm familiar with, the children of such brave souls could expect to receive some special consideration. Perhaps the rogue trader could meet with the orphans? You know, she did have this inkling that she was also very susceptible to this, to the concerns and well-beings of young children. So I'm actually inclined to want to help her, especially since we're talking about, we're talking about orphan kids. I do feel for that. And I've seen enough tragedies in modern day times to know that people without parents are the saddest people on God's great earth. What good would meeting them do? Make arrangements for a meeting worthy of a rogue trader. I will address the orphans with a speech. Why would I? Do you wish to fill these children's heads with the illusion that the world and its rulers care about them? God damn. I will meet with them. No formalities needed. These are the children of the people who gave their lives for the Von Valencius' dynasty. My consideration is the least that they deserve. I will pass on your instructions. Thank you for taking my request to heart. We're finally getting somewhere with this. Especially now. And all I had to do was just open the map and then realize, oh, everybody's actually on the bridge. I just haven't bothered to look around. And why would I? Normally the bridge is the one place with the least amount of shit to do, right? The motley group of adolescents do not take their eyes off you, gazing at you as if you were a creature straight from a fairy tale. Our indefatigable sister, God, the language they use in this game, our whatever the fuck sister has been keeping an eye on these pups. Abelard glances at the gathered children. It is hardly the Scola Progenium in here, but we have provided the orphans on our ship with the adequate care and instruction. Argenta is standing to the side of the group at your approach. She perks up and announces, her voice ringing. Brave ones, the master of this ship has appeared before you, the one who guides it through the darkness of the universe by the Emperor's will. Greet your Lord Captain, the rogue trader of House Von Valencius. You notice Infernus, Master Heinrich Montag, standing a few paces away from the orphans. He watches you with approval and bows respectfully when you meet his gaze. Infernus, Master, do you serve as a teacher in your spare time? Grandly address the group, smile at the group, address the chaperones. Infernus, Master, do you serve as a teacher in your spare time? Not at all, your lordship. I'm just looking out for them. It's the Infernus way to help folks in trouble. It's our job, after all. So we chip in rations here and there, and make sure nobody gives them a hard time. We take the older ones into the clan's care if they want. Many in the guild are not our family by blood, but by circumstance. grandly addressed the group. I, the rogue trader and lord captain of this ship, speak to you now. Your parents gave their lives for a just cause and brought honor to the Von Valencia's banners and those of the Imperium. I am proud of them, and I believe that you will become their worthy heirs. The teenagers hang on every word with bated breath. Only a few at the far end of the row seem sullen and not particularly impressed by your speech. One of the scowling visitors with a thin scar across his face tosses his head back and says bitterly, "So what? Why should we care? Our friends and parents died in their dozens for you, noble lot, and you just give us speeches." Argenta quickly turns to the boy. A flurry of emotions flashes in the dark eyes, like she wants both to calm him and scold him for his impudence. All right, let's do it. Address the group. If you have things to say, say them without fear. I will listen. The boy smiles grimly. It doesn't matter what we say. It won't bring our parents back, and it won't change our fates either. We'll keep slaving away on this ship until we drop and die like our folks, or worse. Hmm. This one's a bit more idealistic, but this one feels more human. I wonder which one's the best option here. One or two. One or two. I understand your grief and dismay. Your parents died. It's not an easy thing to go through, but they gave their lives for the truth, for the good of the whole ship, for the Imperium. Do not speak of their honorable fates with anger or disdain. When the heretics who killed your parents attacked the ship, I was there. I took command. I fought, and I repelled the assault as quickly as I could. But no war can be won without losses. You can only strive to do what is within your power. Now that I've read them out loud, I'm feeling more inclined to 2, so we'll go with 2. When the heretics who killed your parents attacked the ship, I was there. I took command. I fought, and I repelled the assault as quickly as I could. But no war can be won without losses. You can only strive to do what is within your power. You heard the rogue traitor. His words carry the wisdom of the Imperium. It's hard to say whether or not your words have left an impression on the boy, but he nods slowly. Then he catches himself and gives you an awkward bow. He probably realizes he done fucked up there, as these people tend to do. But that just goes to show just how fucking stupid the people who have been governing this ship have been. Like, I knew Theodora, given her strong, overly, how do I put this? Blunt and abrasive nature. I kind of got the feeling that she probably leads a very, 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 well-oiled machine of just getting of efficiency and just getting the job done, right? Regardless of the purpose or the cost or the means, right? And so seeing it firsthand, it's yeah, that's definitely that's definitely the case. It's a bit of an eye opener. Abelard gives a sign, and servants immediately emerge carrying packaged treats with Bon Valencius blazoned on the wrappers. It appears that the seneschal came prepared for any contingency. Argenta rubs her temple pensively. She smiles and offers a few more words of encouragement, then leaves the bay. Honestly, if I knew that Abelard was just going to hand them treats, I'd be a little bit disappointed myself. But at the same time, you know, like, I don't think I came here with a sack of coin or whatever, so, you know, it's not like I could just hand them shit, right? And it's not like I could give them anything substantial that you couldn't already find on the ship either, because, I mean, what can you possibly offer on a ship, right? Where everybody has everything that's only specific for utility. The most I could probably get is maybe that one soldier to, you know, offer that one guardsman during my ablutions to make them all like a bar of soap in the shape of the Emperor, right? That's probably the most I can do. But, you know, that's again, just a very surface level treatment. The most I could probably offer realistically in this situation, if I was in charge, would be just more leniency and, you know, exemption from certain, you know, types of activities or problems if necessary. You know, like if they need time to mourn and grieve, I can give them time to do that. And if they need a moment to do other things or want to pursue other paths in life, maybe I can afford that to them. But otherwise, you know, I can't just give them something that's going to fix their problem for them. And nothing you could realistically give someone who's lost somebody relevant to their lives is easily made up by just handing them little trinkets and then calling it a day, right? There's nothing you can do to ease the loss of a dead loved one. The only thing you can do is just be there, and that's it. Even when they don't want you there. Just, you know, just being there, knowing that they have somebody in their corner is just enough. And again, even if they don't want it. And also, being the person who has to be there when they don't want it is a trial and a half, let me tell you. I mean, I say that as if I have experience doing that, but I don't. I'm notoriously not the kind of person who likes getting involved in people's personal business. I'm just saying, generally speaking, you know, a decent person would probably do that. Alright, now that I know how this shit is fucking organized and how everything in this shit is laid out, I'm gonna start being a bit more proactive on this. Even in stillness, Sister Argenta radiates energy. With her dark eyes shining and a slight blush to her cheeks, she is reciting a prayer, and it looks at you only once she has spoken the final line. Cornelius, greetings. Oh, she just calls me Cornelius now, not Lord Captain? That's a little interesting. Tell me about the Adepta Sororitas.
Gladly. There are none more faithful to the God Emperor than my sisters. We fight against his enemies by the will of the Holy Ecclesiarchy. I beg your pardon, rogue trader. Here I am talking about what every lesser noble in the Imperium knows. So what exactly are you interested in hearing about?
Alright, so let's see. I guess we'll be delving into some of the lore again this episode. Again, but it's fine. We've had some action bits here and there, and we had some interesting stories coupled with it. It's fine. They say the Adeptus Sororitas are the fiercest in their faith among the warriors of the Imperium. Is it true? They say the Adeptus Sororitas are the fiercest in their faith among the warriors of the Imperium. Is it true?
It is. The Sisters of Battle are a fire lit by the God Emperor. They are the echo of his voice that travels through the dark expanses of the universe. We bring his wrath to heretics, mutants, and other enemies of humanity. We protect the faithful from the unholy and unhallowed. Sometimes with words, more often than not with a bolter.
Yeah, that's accurate. Are all sisters truly as faultless as you say?
Even the novices of the Adeptus Sororitas are drawn from among the most worthy. Those who have taken the vows and become a full-fledged sister are the best of the best, tested by trials of body and spirit. Yes, there have been cases when a sister stumbled or showed weakness, but do not expect to hear a story of depravity or downfall from me.
I don't know, because I've heard interesting stories about how, like, yeah, the Adepta Sororitas are known for being, like, so goddamn resilient in their faith that demons practically could not fuck with them if they wanted to, right? But I also heard stories from a few circles about how there have been some Adepta Sororitases who have actually broke away from the Imperium and have become Chaos worshippers, but they're just not widely talked about. And in fact, they're often taken as mere rumors or flights of fancy, you know, or heresy, right? But there was a few instances where that might have been the case, and there's actually a story out there that suggests that a group of Adepta Sororitases were on the hunt for one of their own who had turned traitor and went specifically to hunt her down, to assassinate her, essentially to, you know, wipe away the rather inconvenient truth that a sister did indeed turn to chaos. And let's be honest here, no matter how human you may be, I mean, no matter how faithful you may very well be, and how scrutinizing the procedure of becoming a sister might be, you know, like, or how well you've adjusted or adapted yourself and your personality, you're never going to escape the fact that you are indeed a human being, and you will have feelings of weakness and feelings of doubt. It's just a par for the course.
Each such occurrence is a great tragedy for us all. Light cannot bear the smallest speck of darkness within. And thus those who have trespassed or shown weakness of spirit are given a chance at redemption. They are called Sisters Repentia, and may the enemy tremble before her, for nothing can stop a sister of battle who yearns to be cleansed of fault and weakness.
Interesting that they reinforce failure with even more reinforcement, but that's probably the greatest way to go about it, especially in a universe where they actively want to resist all their faults and doubts, like they do. You know, especially since demons want to destroy you at every point and turn in this universe.
Wearing nothing but robes, no armor, eviscerator in hand, those sisters who have once faltered find repentance on the battlefield. Their lives are seldom long, but a death in the name of purgation is a better fate than to live with a shadow in one's soul.
What order are you from?
Once I had completed my novitiate, I was sent to the Calixian branch of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, assigned to the Order's Pronatus. The Order's mission is vital and noble. The Sisters Pronatus protect great relics of the Imperium. We guard them, preserve them, escort them when they are brought onto the battlefield or presented for pilgrims to venerate.
Interesting.
And we seek out the relics that have been lost. Neither a coven of heretics nor the most wicked death world can deter Sisters Pronatus when their goal is to return a piece of the great legacy of the Imperium into the hands of the faithful.
Lore Imperium succeeded. The Order Pronatus is not one of the Order's militants. And yet you are trained fighters? And yet you are a trained fighter?
Don't let the name deceive you. The Order's militant train sisters to march onto the battlefield as an army. That does not make sisters who belong to the non-militant orders timid and helpless.
Fascinating.
Both the solace-bringing Sisters Hospitaller and the enlightened Sisters Dialogus know how to greet enemies of humanity. Their dialogue with heretics is usually quite short, with the last word being a bolter discharge.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And my order has all the more reason to be known for the martial prowess of its sisters. We are the keepers of the Imperium's relics. What would become of our blessed hero's legacy if the Sisters Pronatus could not protect it?
You said you belong to the Calixian branch of your order. What brought you to the Coronis Expanse?
The Order sent me to Footfall. My undertaking was to assist the local priesthood of Drusians in caring for a sacred reliquary that had been there since the time of Parson Mr. Wayne, the station's founder.
Another curio, perhaps. Are there any other members of the Adepta Sororitas in the Coronis Expanse?
None that I'm aware of, but the Sisterhood's orders are many, and can operate independently of one another, sending their sisters wherever their presence is needed as deemed by the Ecclesiarchy. Perhaps somewhere in the Lord Inquisitor's retinue, may his path be blessed, my sisters perform their duty as we speak. I wish it were so. Even a single evening spent in joint prayer and training would bring me joy.
I have no more questions about the Sisterhood.
Should any more arise, keeping them to yourself would be imprudent. It is a virtue to take an interest in holiness.
Thanks for the invitation, I guess. Tell me more about yourself.
About me? I am the Emperor's daughter and his servant. What else is there to tell about me?
That's what I expected. How did you end up on Theodora's ship?
I first came here when I found myself in need of passage from Footfall to a remote planet. But I imagine what interests you is not that first journey, but rather what brought me aboard prior to the pirate attack. That story is complicated. It just so happened that
Yeah. I feel like she's about to change subjects here.
I made a mistake. In a moment of laxity, I was ambushed by the accursed followers of the archenemy. I was badly wounded. Lady Theodora came to my aid and brought me aboard her ship, where her crew attended to me in my weakened state. It all happened not too long ago. I'd barely recovered from my wounds when the pirates struck. Truly, the servants of evil know no rest. There is no place where we can be safe from their machinations.
Okay, so that's a couple times she said that. The dialogue clearly says cultists, but she's saying pirate. I don't know why that's happening, but I'm assuming there must be something going on to where they can't directly call the people, the heretics who attacked us as cultists. They have to call them pirates. I don't know, or maybe that was just a change behind the scenes, and that just was something that never got addressed in dialogue. I have no idea. It's a little weird, but yeah, every time she says pirate, she means the cultists, the heretics who, in the beginning, mutinized and tried to destroy the ship, which isn't really piracy, but whatever. At least not the traditional form of piracy that we're aware of. What happened to the people who wounded you? Did Theodora's men eliminate them?
Sadly, they did not. Lady Theodora was in a hurry and chose not to stay on the planet. Her people took me to a ship while I was unconscious, and when I came to my senses, we were already flying away. How I pray to come face to face with those heretics once more, and it's bound to happen someday.
You mentioned making a mistake?
It happens even to the best of us. My mistakes are my burden to bear. I'll find a way to atone for them.
Just finishing what you started, I guess. Where did this happen?
On one of the recently discovered planets in the Expanse. No one suspected that it had already been tainted by the filth of heresy. Had I known it beforehand, of course I would have been on my guard.
We could go to that planet and deal with the Chaos Worshippers.
The path to that planet was lost. All the knowledge is gone, along with the previous navigator. It would take immense effort and resources to rediscover the route. The heir to the von Valanci's protectorate must have plenty of other issues to deal with right now. Perhaps later, when the skies above our heads have cleared.
Yeah, she's probably not wrong about that. What was it like traveling on Theodora's ship?
I hadn't been here that long. Just one journey from Footfall, and the other journey, the majority of which I spent in the confines of the Medbay. I can't tell you much about the first voyage. I was more focused on prayers and ruminations than on the people around me, or the journey itself. During the last journey, Seneschal Viserion stood out for me. He came by several times to ask about my health. He's an honorable man and a loyal servant of the Imperium. I think he is as meticulous in his inspections of the logistics systems as he is in his inquiries about the health of the occasional sister of battle aboard the ship. But not all of Theodora's people have earned my trust. You know who I'm talking about. There is no place for Adira Tlas among the God Emperor's faithful. I'm surprised she wasn't in league with the pirates. And I'm equally surprised by how deep heresy and treason run in this place. I'm glad we all made it through that dark hour. May the day that follows be bright.
Yeah. And you likely really dealt with that at its root, didn't you?
As you wish.
What is it that's keeping you in my retinue? Why not, I guess. What is it that's keeping you in my retinue?
This ship was targeted by heretical pirates, which means that my presence here and the assistance I provide to you are my sacred duty. Sooner or later, I will likely have to return to Footfall to protect its reliquary. But for now, I wish to remain a part of the Rogue Trader's crew.
It pleases me to have a servant of the God Throne, Golden Throne in my crew. May the enemies of the Imperium tremble before our onslaught. I enjoy your company, Argenta. I hope that you remain in the crew and that this ship becomes your new home.
Those are very courteous words, Rogue Trader. Thank you, both for your words and your hospitality.
She gives you another somewhat puzzled look. She probably thinks I'm flirting with her, maybe, or she's getting some type of insinuation by that, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to. I'm just being courteous. Yeah, wait, we can't go that way. Where's the others? In fact, we could just point it on the map. Never mind, we're almost there. There she is. Maybe we could finally get to that Vigdis situation with Idira and her. The tall, middle-aged woman stares straight ahead, her eyes vacant as she rubs the implant at her temple. Her collar is undone, and one of the clasps is on the verge of falling off. Sensing your presence, Idira turns her head toward you and offers you a crooked smile, even as her eyes look right through you. Idira, about your abilities.
What are you talking about, Lord Captain?
You are a psyker. Psykers are only granted the right to live. I'm going to say I'm concerned about your level of control over your abilities.
Lord Captain, there's nothing to worry about. I've been on this ship just short of 10 years. Would Lady von Valancius have kept me on if she wasn't sure about me? I mean, yeah, sometimes stuff happens. Small stuff. Like when I hear things. Sometimes what I hear is so clear it becomes real to me. But even ordinary folks have bad days, don't they?
I mean, you can justify it how you want, but it doesn't change the fact that in one of my combat encounters, in one of my episodes, you literally summoned a fucking demon from Tzeentch's order into fucking existence during the battle, so I'm not too happy about that. But yeah, sure, why not? You seem to have a very strong reaction to what Argenta said by the broken lens.
It was just my nerves playing up. Something about our little saint doesn't sit right with me, and I trust my gut. Oh sure, she seems straight as an arrow and as predictable as a hangover after drinking. But when I look at her, something about her makes my brain itch.
Probably because you know instinctually that she is the murderer for Theodora. I'm pretty much sold on this already. The evidence is there. If the game presents me an argument that runs contrary, it better be a damn good one, and it better be explainable, because otherwise I'm gonna have a hard time believing it. I'm gonna have a hard time swallowing it.
After that conversation, I tried to listen to what was being said about her. Beyond the door, what I heard was strange. Blood in her past, twilight in her present, and something like a star leading her. But where is it leading her? I saw several roads, and all of them frightened me.
And what does it all mean?
If I knew, I would have told you. Hearing things clearly requires cooperation from the other person, you know. But that cobra just hisses and spits its venom at me. I don't trust her one bit.
Yeah, and I don't think she wants you to figure out that you killed Theodora either, so that's also one more reason to not let you delve into that subject. Also, you know, fucking Theodora is... Well, not Theodora, I mean Argenta is... You know, she's a sister of battle, so any attempts to do anything that involve having psychers or any type of invasive procedure done on her is likely to result in some level of, flight or fight response, right? I don't think I want to go down that road, so we won't be crossing that road anytime soon until the evidence, you know, supports the theory. But until then, we're gonna play this by ear. All right, maybe we should warn Argenta, or do you think I should keep an eye on her? Do you think I should keep an eye on her?
It certainly wouldn't hurt. I'll keep a watch on her too. If only I knew what it meant. Maybe it means danger for her. Or maybe danger coming from her.
Well, she is a very dangerous individual, and she would be the center of most problems that I'll probably come across, because her dogmatic ways will likely elicit a level of vitriol that I'm pretty sure most normal, everyday people probably would have a hard time dealing with, right? Especially since we're talking about a literal saint with a gun. I mean, imagine having someone come to your home, to your house, to your line of work, and telling you to live your life better for the God Emperor, or, you know, because that's just your duty and your reason for being, and every problem you ever come across is a result of a trial by him, among other things, you know? And you can't say or do anything about it because the fucking broad has got a gun in her hand, so, you know, you feel already threatened by her at that point. Yeah, I can already feel that being a problem, but yeah. I mean, she's gonna elicit that kind of problem. I can already tell. What's it like being a psyker?
Lord Captain, forgive me. But it would be like talking to a person born blind about colors. I could spend hours explaining, but it wouldn't make any sense to you.
I mean, you're probably not wrong, but I'd still like to know. Why is it that when you ask people, what's it like to do this, what's it like to have that, their first immediate response is like, oh, but trying to explain it to somebody is difficult, you know? It's like trying to tell someone who's never dealt a thing what it's like to have the thing. And it's like, well, no shit, that's why I'm asking, you fucking idiot. What's it like to have it? Alright? And it's the same thing when I ask women about questions about womanly things. It's like, what's it like to have to upkeep that thing? And they're just like, well, you know, it's difficult to explain, and it's a little pervasive. And it's like, well, I kind of get that, but at the same time, that's why I'm asking. And mind you, I don't ask that to just about any woman. I just ask that to, like, friends of mine, and even then, I don't have very many of those kind of friends. I mean, I have maybe one or two of them, but I don't really ask them that kind of invasive question. In fact, the opposite is true. They talk ad nauseum about their bodily functions, and I have no idea how to compartmentalize it. It's because it's a quandary that I don't understand, and their ability to get me to understand it is the equivalent of trying. I mean, yeah, it's exactly like Idea said, you know? It's like trying to explain to someone who's never seen color what color looks like. But, you know, I'd still like a nice persuasive argument about what it's about, or an essay on what it's like. You know, I like to know, to a degree, I mean, at least just some of the day-to-day things of what it's like having the damn thing. And also what it requires to manage and to upkeep the thing, or anything, or any type of problem, really. You know, just because I don't do the thing that you do, or because I don't have the problem that you have, that doesn't mean I don't have an interest in that particular discussion or issue, or that I can't possibly relate or understand. Like, everybody has experience trying to upkeep something just naturally to themselves. Like, you know, like women always talk about, actually I'm not going to delve into this topic, let's just move on. Point is, I really wish people would stop trying to use the argument of being like, oh, well, you wouldn't understand, you're not this type of person. It's like, well, then you kind of just eliminated everyone from wanting to understand you, didn't you? I guess we're all just going to be idiots then. We're all just going to live vicariously through the stupidity and the, the ignoramus levels of just like, oh, well, everyone is pretty much, what's the word I'm looking for here? Fuck, what is the word I'm looking for here? God damn it. What is it? It's not clueless. I use it fairly often enough that it should still register in my goddamn brain. What is it? I can't think of it. All right. You know what? Screw it. But you get my point, right? It's it's hard to have a meaningful, reasonable conversation with someone when the other person is just like, you won't get it because you're not this person. And it's like, well, bitch, I guess you're just not gonna live, you're just gonna live your life never feeling like you're understood then. Because if I can't understand the plights and problems of what it means to be you, then I guess we'll never reach a middle ground to where like, oh, that sounds bad. I guess I can probably help you if you need help with it, with something. I don't know. It's like if you need me to kind of chill out when I'm talking rather abrasively or whatever about something topical or whatever, or you just need, you just want to vent about some stupid shit, right? Or you just need, if you just need something that, that me not understanding or not doing or being unable to do, I guess, becomes apparent in the future, like that's, I mean, again, this becomes less of a problem when you really think about it of like, oh, well, this is just a problem that you won't understand to like, well, if it blows up in my face, guess what? I've given you ample opportunity to answer questions. You only have yourself to blame if our ignorance, I think that's the word I'm looking for, if our ignorance becomes such an issue that the only way we're going to reasonably like approach this topic is by you blowing up at me about it, and then me not sure how to handle that is going to be like, well, I guess fuck you then. I guess I'm just going to go off and do my own thing, and maybe that's just the end of our friendship, right? That's the end of all relations, If I have to learn by you basically not being able to communicate with me about your problems, well, then guess what? That's going to be a result of you. That's going to be a you problem. That's going to be your failing, not mine. All right, and listen, this is why I don't like talking to people about their problems, because every time I try to help them, every time I try to, talk to people about, oh, what's your problem? Like, can you explain it to me? And then when they try to explain it to me, and then I try to offer my opinion on the subject, or if it's a subject that I'm actually versed in, and they don't, and they don't listen to me, or they just get they become very, they turn very childish about it, that's, again, that becomes a them problem. And I'm not going to help people who are literal children. So, there. That's it. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. But at the end of the day, yes. I only have patience that stretch so far, and I am someone with a persecution complex. So if I try to help someone, I do it from the grounds of like, oh, I think this person is safe to talk to about, maybe it's safe to talk to this person. Maybe they won't blow up in my face. I don't think they'll blow up in my face. I'm pretty sure they won't. So I'm just going to talk to them, see where that goes, maybe try to help them through this. And then they just get really, snappy with me. And I'm like, well, fuck you then. I'm not going to help you. You have a problem. I tried to help you. You didn't want my help. Well, then fine. All right, that's fine. Good for you. All right, continue to live and suffer with the problem that you are experiencing, and I'm going to just leave you to it. Anyways, sorry about that. I kind of ranted a little bit. Lord Captain, forgive me, but it would be like talking to a person born blind about color. I could spend hours explaining, but it wouldn't make any sense to you. Let's move on.
Every Psyker feels their connection with the warp in their own way. One person might see spots and shadows out of the corner of their eye. Another feels fingers running down their spine. As for me, I've got a door in my head. One that's open just a crack. There's no way to close it, no matter how hard I try. I've just had to get used to the whispers from the other side. When I need to use it for work, I listen in more closely. But I usually just try not to notice it.
Okay. I muted myself for a second. I've noticed that in a lot of my recordings now that there's a lot of mastication coming through the headset, and I apologize if people are bothered by that. So, anytime I take a drink or whatever, I just choose to mute myself. I don't know if that bothers anyone, but I hope it helps. Alright. How do you live with this whispering in your head?
Training, habit, and a little amasec and a couple other things you can get on the lower decks. If you put all those together, it makes things bearable. Sometimes I even wonder if I'm imagining half the voices I hear. You know, when life on board gets a little boring. Better than listening to the living, anyhow.
Damn. She ain't wrong about that one, though. What would happen if your door bursts open?
Well, if the door opens, that means somebody's planning to come in, right? But screw them. They're not coming through. Trust me. I know how to keep my valuable head locked up tight.
Prior experience tells me otherwise. But, I'm gonna trust you on that. I'm pretty sure this is more so a facade than it is an actual fucking statement of fact, but... yeah. We're just gonna let this one slide. I mean, the fact that the subtext here is Idira chuckles, but there is a shrill, strained quality to her laughter shows that she's clearly not confident about it. Aren't you afraid of losing control?
Only losers who are afraid of their own gift lose control. Or idiots who never figure out what they are before it's too late. Or little kids who want to play around with their shiny new toy. If you don't know the limits of your abilities, or you're always bouncing around in your own head, that's a recipe for disaster.
Fascinating. Can you see my future?
All right. That's what I'm here for, after all. So, I'm just going to lean on that door in my head a little more, prick up my ears, and listen to what the warp's got to say about you. If you'll allow it, I can listen right now.
So, Idira grins like she's already heard some salacious detail. Oh, bitch, please. I'm sure whatever you found, it's probably something so mundane compared to nowadays that just mentioning it is probably... it's probably just surface level. It's probably just surface level. Let's be honest, okay? But this is the 40k universe. There's a lot of crazy shit that happens in this universe, but whatever naughty private shit that she's probably found, or some weird funny thing that my character does in his lonesome when he thinks nobody is looking. It's probably some of the most innocent shit possible, because everything else in this universe is so goddamn in your face and constantly consuming your time among other things, that it's I mean, again, it's like I can't imagine. I can't imagine that the kind of the kind of weird, stupid things that people would do when they think nobody is looking is something so mundane, something so trivial compared to what people who are bored and have nothing better to do with their lives, like modern day people in our time, probably get up to in their spare time. Like myself, I have some things that I would rather not talk about, but like I, they're not. They're nothing so grandiose that it's like, oh man, if these skeletons ever got found out, like this will end my whole life and career. It's like, no. Nothing that major. But everybody gets up to some weird fuck shit every now and again, right? Some people always ask the question of like, I wonder what this is. Or, I'm really curious on what that's like. Or some other weird thing, right? Like somebody always has this curious nature, this weird nagging urge in the back of their mind to just be like, I want to do that. And sometimes it's just like, what is it? The intrusive thought, right? Like I could like nibble on the nipple, but I could just choose not to do that. But sometimes, like you're not even thinking about it. It's just like, and some people are just like, they're just looking at it. They're just looking at something and they're just like, I'm going to bite it. And then they do it. And then they don't realize they did it. They did it, or they do realize they did it, and they just realize immediately after the fact that it's just like, wow, that was fucking stupid. I'm glad nobody saw that, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That was just some random example off the top of my head. But it's like, I mean, people are funny, man. People are funny when they think nobody's looking. It's just, we're moving on. I'm getting too lost in the sauce.
All right. Let's hear what they're whispering about you.
Idea laughs, rubs her hands together, and suddenly freezes with a vacant smile on her face. Her head is slightly tilted. You feel goosebumps appear on your skin, and your color begins to waver ever so slightly, as if moved by a breeze from a half-open door. Yeah, something very invasive just happened.
Seek not on firm ground, but in a golden hall suspended in the void. There waits a child without kin, but with a name blind to truth. She draws the brush across the canvas and does not notice that her palette is full not of paint, but of blood. And with each smear, this well does not deplete, but fills and fills up to the brim. One thing is clear. When this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained.
I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to become plot relevant, because that's usually what these things do, is that they always end up becoming like a weird simile to what's going to happen in the future, or what's already happening. But it's like, I'm trying to picture what this could be referring to. And, so, seek not on the firm ground, but in a golden hall suspended in the void. So, it's clearly the ship. And it's probably the coronation, right? The little event that we got when we came on board. There awaits a child without kin, but with a name blind to the truth. So that's probably us or Voigtavir. That's probably what they're addressing. But with a blind to truth, that's probably also Voigtavir, as well as myself, because I have a little whisper in my I also have a little whisper in my head that's constantly goading me to do stupid shit. She draws the brush across the canvas and does not notice that her palette is full not of paint, but of blood. And with each smear, this well does not deplete, but fills and fills up to the brim. This is probably describing Theodora as, Actually, this could be a few people. This could be Theodora or Argenta. This is Theodora because it talks about how she draws the brush across the canvas and does not notice that her palette is full not of paints but of blood. It could be a result of all the bad blood she's created aboard her own ship, and how, despite all of her glitz and glamour, she's kind of a bitch, right? And this could also simultaneously, and again, all of the blood filling into the brim is could be all of the problems that have been brewing under the behind the scenes now coming back to roost. But it could also be Argenta, simply because that when she describes drawing the brush across the canvas and does not notice that her palette is full of not paints but of blood, it could be a result of like Argenta having a lot of things and a lot of weight to her actions that even she feels a little bad or devastated about. Again, if she killed Theodora, like I theorize, then that's obviously what looks like to be the case. Like, that weight is probably, eating away at her a little bit. And with each smear, this well does not deplete, but fills and fills up to the brim. The longer this drags on, the more she feels guilty about it. So eventually this is going to come to a boiling point, and it's going to overflow, right? One thing is clear: when this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained. Again, Theodora... When this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained. It could be a reference to... When this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained. It could be about the truth behind the glass that she had in her possession before she met her untimely end. When this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained. When we've discovered the truth behind the glass, it'll probably be a truth that will have such serious ramifications that once we discover it, it'll leave behind an impression that will forever stain us for the rest of our lives. And then it could also be Argenta, because when this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained. When people finally put two and two together, and they finally figured out that Argenta could be the murderer behind Theodora, the idea that the vessel overflows and none will remain unstained could be the thought and idea that once everybody figures out that Argenta was responsible for it, everything will boil over to a drastic point, and then suddenly the entire ship will be up in arms, or at least the party will, and they will demand that something be done to Argenta for the act of killing Theodora, even if it's just over, like, the idea of heresy. The fact that she murdered Theodora in cold blood, probably would not sit well for most people, And so they're going to want, retribution for that type of thing. Especially Idira, who is giving me this vision, right? Because she was the most broken by Theodora's death, at least emotionally. So she's going to be the most distraught and also the most enraged when she learns that it was the sister who did it. So yeah, I think this has a few layers to it, but I'm not sure.
Among the blind men and false prophets,
and it just keeps going.
Sage seeks the answer to a question. He does not know that it is not the answer he must seek, but the question that will draw everything into focus. Will you help him, rogue trader? But mark that sometimes ignorance is sweeter than oblivion.
Yeah, I know. Chaos gods, especially if we're dealing with Tzeentch, which is what it seems like we're dealing with here. That man is mysteries upon mysteries. You can't even have a simple conversation without him trying to wax wise on you like he's a fucking cretin. Fucking asshole. Anyways. Yeah, it's I'm not too sure about a red robe sage. I'm assuming that's going to be our Inquisitor when we finally get around to finding him, but I'm assuming that our ability to help him is going to be paramount to whatever the fuck he needs help with, right? And whatever answers we discover by our attempts to help him, are probably going to, are probably gonna fuck us over. I'm not sure.
A chained hound chases after glimmers of the aurora, but sparks in the scent of oil confound his nose. A chain trails after him. What will happen if you pick it up? Will you become his master, or merely another beast in the pack of his true lord?
Chain. Is this implying that I have a power that nobody else, not even Theodora herself, has? I mean, it's no secret that it's weird that I have specific permissions that not even Theodora herself had when it came to the warrants of trade, right? It's also weird that the voices seem to be risk-adverse when it comes to manipulating myself. And it also, there's clear signs that they need me for something, right? The voices need me for something, because otherwise I would imagine that the Chaos Demon in my head would have probably have done something, right? But we don't know. At this point, I'm kind of curious if it's like the Chaos Demon. It was hinted that the Chaos Demon did not have that much influence over my head, but I wonder if that influence is just like they didn't want to control me for reasons that are outside of my understanding, or if they just couldn't influence me because they genuinely did not have that kind of control over my being, but I have no idea. We just assumed that was the case, but maybe it's just like they couldn't, because otherwise it would fuck something up, right? It could ruin the order of things, and that's something that they couldn't do. But we'll see.
The glow of dawn bursts forth from its prison. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it?
Fascinating. This is having some weird implications. Am I going to change something fundamental to the 40k universe? I don't think so, because that would require an actual willingness to want to change the actual state of the universe, I would imagine. It might just be for the Coronis Expanse, to be fair, but it raises an interesting correlation. But giving the player the ability to effectively make long-lasting and meaningful change in a world and in a universe and setting where, you know, everything's pretty big in scope, and giving them the ability to make something that has everlasting reverberations and repercussions is kind of a interesting idea, but also a bit of a quandary. But I don't know. I mean, that'd be pretty dope to do, but I mean, like, that's a can of worms right there. I don't think Games Workshop has the gumption to do it. And I don't think they want to bother trying to write around what people find to be the most popular ending for a particular form of media, right? So, especially since that would be kind of limiting. But anyways, yeah. Moving on from this.
I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. I can't make out a thing. I'll try to rein them in somehow, but for now...
The Psyker shrugs sheepishly and sniffs. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in the twisted glass. So, you have a piece of glass. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in a twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it? So so clearly the events are already set in motion to where, like, there's no turning away from it, right? I'm wondering what it means. It's going to be interesting to see how all of this comes back to roost, right? Alright, where do you come from?
Layla, an outlying world in the Heathen Stars region. In the Coronis expanse, the deeper you go, the less visible the Astronomicon gets, and the less people know about the Imperium. The arrival of a rogue trader is the best thing that can happen to a world like that. The very best.
This will be the last question, and then we're gonna get back to the game. Tell me about Lyra.
It's an out-of-the-way planetoid between two faint stars. On Lyra, a dozen local tyrants fight over 5 measly continents. But they use everything they can to win, from poison to psychers. I haven't been there in many years, but there's nothing for me to miss. Trust me. But here on the ship is a different story altogether. I saw more wonders in my first year serving Lady von Valancius than I'd seen in my whole life on Lyra. Like my first journey through the warp, I was in bed for 3 days. I felt like supernovas were exploding in my head. I only found out later that I'd gotten off easy. Just through the bulkhead in the bay next to mine, a whole team turned into... Look at me rambling on, Lord Captain. Pay no attention.
You never finished your story about your first time crossing the warp. Finish your damn sentence.
It wasn't like it was a very fun trip, Lord Captain. But look, if you want to be entertained, I'm the woman for the job. I'll entertain you with one of the stories from my collection, no problem. But if you want to hear about the time I melted everyone in the bay next door, well, I just don't really want to go into the details on that one, all right?
Okay. I see why. What did you do before you came to be on the ship?
Oh, I embroidered wall hangings in honor of our national heroes. I did the same thing I do here, Lord Captain. Divining. Our rulers prized the ability to see into the future. Every psyker that could be found was worth a small fortune on Lyra. There's no such thing as a peaceful life on Lyra. People like me were especially sought after. They'd pick psychers up wherever they found them, buy kids off their parents, even just abduct them. Take me, for instance. I got taken from my street gang. The older kids sold me when they noticed there was something off about me. The ruling dynasties had schools where they trained us and beat us black and blue. And then they packed us off to serve. Some of us held on for a long time, but others didn't last. Not everyone's as smart and talented as me, you know. Some people crossed the line and were out of commission before their time.
How did you end up in the Rogue Trader service?
Theodora von Valancius paid a visit to the ruler I was serving at the time. I don't know what the visit was for, and it's no business of mine anyway. I can still remember the way the voices in my head changed when I looked at her. They were practically screaming. She had so much behind her, and plenty ahead of her too. As I gawped at her, all of a sudden I heard a whisper. A hint, a suggestion, nothing more. But I know the difference between idle chatter and a real threat. I seized my chance and approached Theodora. I managed to whisper a couple of words in her ear before the wardens dragged me away. They beat me and locked me up. No wonder. It wasn't my place to converse with outsiders. And then Theodora's people came for me. They broke down the wall, butchered the guards. Also, I could tell them my warning in full. So I said the rest, but I didn't want to go back to my old life. And so I entered the service of the von Valancius dynasty.
That's an interesting story, actually. It's actually a pretty interesting story. Alright, you won that one. Have you ever been off the ship?
A few times. Not many. And if I think about it, why would I want to? I've got everything I need here. All the whispers I hear are familiar ones. They almost feel like family. And if I want to hear about the nightmares off the ship, I can, after some Amisec. But don't go getting the wrong idea. If I have to, I'll follow you to the edge of the galaxy.
Let's talk about something else.
Of course, Lord Captain.
Okay. Did you know Theodora von Valencius well?
None of the officers knew the Lord Captain well. Not even Abelard, and she was always closer to him than anyone else. She told me from the off that if I ever listened to anything in the warp about her without her permission, I'd be going out through the airlock. I'm not an idiot, so I never stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Only when I was asked.
When I said last question, I meant just in terms of, like, dialogue branches with a character. So, now that I know where all the characters are and how to talk to them, we're just going to do a character per episode, and then whatever lore happens to, and stories happen to come about, we're just going to do it right then and there, but it's like, otherwise, we're going to do characters episode by episode.
It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that she's gone. Lady von Valancius gave me everything I have. She opened the stars to me and the paths between them. I still think I can hear her voice.
Well, don't listen to it because that's not gonna be Theodora. Things are strained between you and Argenta. Isn't that right?
The little sister is afflicted with her own set of voices. Ones that whisper to her about corruption and heresy. The silly girl doesn't realize that if she wants to find the source, she needs to start by looking in her own head. Of course. Always at your service. Whenever you need me.
Alright. We're moving on to the Coronis Expanse map. Rykod Minoris. Back to the Void ship, it seems. I'm assuming it's for docking reasons. As the ship makes its way through the star system, a strange fatigue falls over you. Your eyelids grow heavy, and the quill you have been using to draw up yet another order falls from your hand. You raise your head with a start. Someone else is here in your study. Jesus Christ. You stand up and stare at the dozens upon dozens of corpses surrounding you. Among their number, you recognize the disfigured and bloodied faces of those who died on the ship's bridge and those you met in your previous life. How is this possible? Where are the enforcers posted to stand guard? It matters not. You are alone against a horde of heretics, risen from the darkness to take your life. As if of its own accord, the shard lying on the edge of the desk, the sole remnant of Conrad Voigdevere's weapon, slips into your hand. The metal is searing cold. The dead sway from side to side, closing in around you in a nightmarishly slow advance. Step back or else. The dead only draw closer and closer, and your fingers involuntarily tighten around the shard, its sharp edge cutting into your palm. An unbearably bright light floods everything around. That was probably the worst mistake you could have done. An unbearably bright light floods everything around, and you find yourself surrounded by groveling minions, their bodies shivering in your mere presence. Your hands no longer hold a pitiful shard, but a majestic and intricate weapon. A skillfully crafted sword with strange, unnerving proportions. A curved design, and an unusual hilt adorned with the image of a closed eye. Fascinating. Wait, did Theodora have a demonic weapon? Is that what this glass was? A demonic weapon? The eye opens wide, revealing a gaze so ancient and dark that it steals your breath away. You have felt this gaze before, there on the bridge, and the voice that appears in your mind only confirms your guess. The tapestry is woven, the path is chosen. Accept your fate, champion. Yes, master, I am the sword's master, not its servant. Remember that. Throw the demon blade away. Never. Your body refuses to obey your mind. The handle feels as if it has become one with your hands. And the gaze of the demonic eye sets your very soul ablaze. Resist your fate is futile. Resisting your fate is futile. You scream as you feel your soul burn away to ash. You awaken from the vision kneeling next to your desk. Clothes drenched in sweat, and with a sour taste on your tongue, your head is ringing. And you struggle to recall those faces and the image of the sword in your hands. Only the deep cut on your palm and the bloodied shard lying on the floor remind you of what just transpired. You would rather die than touch that thing again, so you reach a shaking hand for your vox and call for a servitor. Now you just have to wait for the mindless automaton to arrive, pick up the cursed artifact, and head for the nearest airlock to be claimed by the void. Item lost, blade shard. Yeah. Yeah. We do not need that. Potentially, we do not need that. Nothing new in the vaults. It's a loot manager, but I don't need it. Alright, let's get the fuck out of here. Begin scan. One second. Well, I mean, it... What a tempting offer. Okay. What time? 2 hour point. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and pause. I'm gonna get something to eat, and then I'll be right back. 1 second. Hello, I'm back. Alright. I had onion rings. Was not too bad at all. Everybody needs a level up. Except, we're finally getting to Rykod Minoris. It took how many episodes to get to this point? But we're finally doing it, lads. We're finally getting to Rykon Minoris. CRPG for the win. Holy shit, this place looks like a goddamn shithole. What the hell's going on? What is going on? The starport greets you with the din of ordnance, and the smell of explosive tickles your nostrils. It is difficult to tell through the smoke who is firing at whom. Halt! Weapons on the ground, or I'm firing! A man in a torn and dirty uniform hobbles toward you from behind the chunks of rockcrete and crumpled plasteel. His cracked helmet is adorned with a crooked label that reads Sergeant Malgar. Alright, so our skies are in lockdown, the rebels are shooting down anything that flies, and you lot just happen to land in our rear without a scratch to show for it? And on a shuttle like that? Where did you get it? Stolen from the palace, isn't it? He is visibly awed by the resplendent gold of your transport. Grab 'em, lads. We've got ourselves a rebel landing force. Man, what the hell is going on? There's a rebellion going on? Abelard turns purple. By the holy throne, what is this mess? They're in a rough spot, old man. Go easy on them. I am the rogue trader von Valancius. Give me a status report this instant. With a mixture of awe and terror, he snaps to attention, raises his freshly cut chin like an exemplary soldier, and barks, "My mistake, sir! At once! The starport is under the control of the governor's wardens. Perimeter commander is Sergeant..." A frag grenade explosion cuts off the rest of the sergeant's words. Shrapnel flies everywhere with a piercing screech. One of the soldiers falls to the ground, clutching the remains of his forearm, that is now adorned with a crimson tatter. Blood is pouring out of the stump, and the soldier's agony is short-lived. The sergeant curses and hastily says an army prayer for the dead. With a raspy cough, the sergeant turns back to you. Pardon me, sir. Sergeant Lassie, or Lassie, I'm going to say Lassie. Sergeant Lassie Malgar, reporting. My unit is holding the starport on the governor's orders. How may I serve you? What is going on here? Unrest, sir. Armed rebellion in both the capital and the provinces. First the lower levels sparked, then it went up the spires. They hit the Zavox hubs, the arsenals, the mag train stations. My unit was here when it all went to the Groxes. The tech priests, linked to satellites, reported sightings of strange void ships in the system. They were orbiting the star until one of them set course for landing on Rykon Majoris. The governor took the precautionary measures in order to increase security at the key facilities. Everyone knows that whenever something's not right, you better double the warden details. The alarm was raised, and we were sent to secure the starport. It's the only reason we were able to hold it. They're crushing us. The scumbags. It's been a whole turn since the last reinforcement came in. We're running low on ammo. Every other fighter is wounded. I don't know how bad it is in the streets, but they'll drive us out of here any moment. What caused this rebellion? Ill thoughts, sir. We've fallen on hard times. The ground keeps shaking. Things keep exploding. The people are scared. they've forgotten all about their duty. And that's when those Emperor forgive me preachers came. They started riling everyone up. Sure enough, we shot a few, but they just kept coming. More and more of them. How can some pathetic rebellion be cause of enough for such a lackluster welcoming ceremony in honor of the rogue trader's arrival? It is an insult. Goddamn. Ay, ay, ay. Pat him on the shoulder. You are doing fine work, Malgar. You are doing fine work, Malgar. And so are your troops. It is people like you that hold the Imperium together. I live to serve. The sergeant's grim voice rings with a martyr's pride. Some dirty dog nearly shot down my shuttle. Affirmative, your lordship, sir. It's all those damn rebels. Those maggots somehow got their hands on an anti-aircraft battery, and it's causing our shuttles no end of trouble. That thing really packs a punch. You're lucky they missed you. I've seen them fry 2 shuttles carrying reinforcements. Not a soul survived. Do you happen to know a member of the Inquisition has come here? At the word Inquisition, the sergeant's face fills with awe. I don't know, sir. There definitely haven't been any visitors like that on my watch. You might have to inquire at the headquarters, your lordship, sir. I'm going to see the governor. If I may report, sir, as long as those rebels keep shooting their damned anti-aircraft battery, there is absolutely no way to shuttle you to the governor. It would have to be on foot and on the streets, and the streets are dangerous. I have no one to send with you as an escort. I assigned all available troops to accompany the esteemed tech priest to the governor. I will voxcast orders to them to await for you, and I'll inform headquarters. They better send out a convoy to meet you halfway. Meanwhile, we will follow the governor's orders and hold the line. Idea frowns as her gaze grows distant, as if she is looking through the sergeant. You're a good soldier, but you've got a lot of blood on your hands. Both yours and others. You know, the same hand that salutes now might falter in darkness. Rank and epaulets won't save you from the bitterness. What the fuck? Fucking jargon in this game. Pardon me, my lady, but I can't get my head around these fancy words you're saying. No shit! Right? Right? I've seen plenty of blood, but trust me, I'll fight till my last drop. Is the path ahead dangerous? What exactly awaits me there? What tech priest? Is the path ahead dangerous? What exactly awaits me there? The sergeant sighs heavily. All the roadblocks are gone. The whole place is in the rebels' hands. The city is almost lost. So no help will come. We are surrounded by rebels. And watch your steps, sir. The streets are chock full of mines. Logic test. Succeeded. His remark about mines lodges itself in your memory. More than anything, you will need to watch the ground and not your surroundings. You'd rather risk a shot from a rebel or a jittery soldier than experience a few handfuls of lethal shrapnel resting on top of some 300 grams of explosive Fiseline. What tech priest? A very important person from the Adeptus Mechanicus. Arrived on the last shuttle before they locked out the sky. He kept on asking whether anyone by the name of Amorant or Amornant or something like that had recently arrived. Barely answered any of our questions, though. Said he was under no obligation to tell us anything. He demanded to talk to the governor personally, so I had to send a quarter of my troops with him to keep the trouble at bay. You are a fool. The governor, who is safe and sound in the rear, has left you for dead, and here you are, preaching about glory. Reclaim the starport. Move out and attack, you cowardly knave. You are a good soldier, Melgar. I will see that your heroism is noted. The sergeant blushes slightly. I live to serve. Another explosion interrupts the sergeant's words. With a sigh of relief, he turns to his soldiers and spits out a booming series of commands. Man, this planet's up shit creek, apparently. Rumors. On your travels, you will hear many rumors. Those of them that are deserving of the rogue trader's attention are logged in a separate section of the journal. Sometimes rumors are just that. Other times there's truth to them, and in some cases there may be even more. To verify a rumor, travel to the place indicated in the rumor's description. While traversing the Coronis Expanse, as the rogue trader, you are bound to hear rumors regarding your own deeds and exploits, some of which reflect the reaction of the Expanse's denizens to choices you've made. Neat.
Did you want something?
Alright, let's get everybody's shit out of the way. Until the operative's next turn, the target cannot move until the end of combat. Target's MPs are reduced by 3. Dismantling attack also cripples the enemy, reducing their weapon skill and ballistics by 30 until the end of combat. That's actually fucking great. That's so useful. What the hell? Dismantling attack also intimidates all enemies in a 5-cell radius around the target, reducing their dodge and armor by 15% until the end of combat. The target also provokes an attack of opportunity whenever it attacks. We're going with this one. How could I not? This is so good. So good. Let's see. I mean, yeah, let's go with tech use. Okay, firearm. Until the end of the soldier's turn, they gain 4+. What was the one that I gave to myself? This one. And Cabela. Death Waltz. Upon using Death Waltz, the Blade Dancer immediately heals to full. The cost of the abilities that cost wounds is reduced by half until the end of combat. Also grants the Blade Dancer 4+ additional charges of Death from Above. Until the end of combat, Death from Above deals plus agility bonus additional damage. Oh, interesting. So I can actually make Death from Above so much more powerful. Until the end of combat, strikes made by the Blade Dancer, including attacks made as part of Death Waltz, reduce enemy weapon skills by -2 agility, and decreases enemy armor and dodge by -2. These penalties stack. Strikes made by the Blade Dancer, including attacks made after killing an enemy, the Blade Dancer gains 3% of dodge until the end of combat, stacks up to agility bonus times. This one's useful, and this one up here is useful. No, not that one. This one, right here. I'm not sure if I wanted this one or this one. Both are very useful. But one's very beneficial to the party, so you know what? I'm gonna go with this one. Alright, we got this. Let's do it. There are guards everywhere. There's a dead guard here. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Did you see that? They almost knocked us out of the air. Some bumbling idiot's going to regret that when he's dragged before the Lord Captain for questioning and trial.
Jesus.
I do not think the rogue trader should take a personal interest in a common crackpot. Summary execution will be sufficient.
Of course, that's how you would feel about that. Goods.
Is there money to be made?
The grand viaduct for receiving esteemed guests is buried under the rubble.
Your arrogance will be your downfall.
I will level you!
What are all the enemies? These are all the enemies. That's a decent number of enemies. Alright. Put myself there. Put Abelard front and center. Put Idea where it's safe. Put Argenta also in cover. And then Cabela could be over in the front, where I know she's going to be useful. Alright, start the battle.
Hold on.
The unrighteous have come to take all that we have from us. Let us stand.
Will not die in dishonor.
Some other shit. Alright. If I can manage to hit him, it'll instantly kill him, potentially. No, no. I'll start with this guy.
I'll see to
Nice. Cornelius got a good shot in. Alright. Moving on.
Time to slaughter someone.
Let's make it quick.
The player is raging well at a level equal to the corresponding amount of all rebels in fight. Increases enemies' weapon skill and ballistics by 1, as well as damage by 1 for every level of raging well on their allies. Stack is 1. Interesting, okay.
Doubt is for the weak.
Here we
Get
go.
to it.
Stop mocking me.
I love how they're shooting their own teammates, too. God, I am. And that guy got over-penetrated. Did he just debuff Cabela? Provoked. Chances to hit any other target but this creature are reduced by 20%. Oh, I see. Okay. You know, that's not too bad. I mean, they're basically asking to die. Let's see, we're not in the Veil anymore, right? So I shouldn't have to worry about Veil degradation, right? We're not in the warp. I shouldn't have to worry about warp shit, right? We'll see. No, I still have to worry about warp shit. God damn it. Alright, let me see here.
On it.
Put some forewarning on her. That didn't increase anything, so that's good. Hmm.
Was that you? Or
Alright, sweet. I don't have to worry about that shit anymore. Halla fucking Luya. Alright, let's see here. Can't see that guy, can't see that guy. So we're good. Let's see. I'll go ahead and just hit this guy with analysis. Let's go ahead and just end it there. Alright.
I will do my duty. Reduced to dust.
It increases based off of the amounts of people dead, I'm assuming? Let's see, I'll try shooting it. Maybe not. We'll do a single shot. How is a single shot? I'm so confused by that. Okay. I don't get that. How does a single shot less accurate than a burst shot? Well, I guess I won't question it. If I do this, though, I won't be able to charge, which is a guaranteed hit. Let's see. I'll go ahead and charge this guy, get him out of the way. Endure. Epicenter of Slaughter. Whenever the warriors attack, they gain +1 to Epicenter of Slaughter. Okay.
I've suffered worse.
Alright. Let's just go ahead and murder you. Actually, hang on. Fascinating. Good percentage to hit, but this one hits harder. As well as also having a likelihood to hit. It'll cancel my movement if I do that. So let's see, this will also cancel my movement. Alright, you know what? We'll just kill him with this. There we go. Now I can't move, but that's fine because even if I could, I probably don't want them to move too far, so Cabela could just stay here. I think I will throw a blood vial though.
Trust me.
There we go. All right. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and use Raining Blood.
Let's get to it. Hold on. High momentum.
They can't see me if they wanted to.
I don't need luck. I have strategy.
All right.
It's as good as done.
3 more movement points. It's not too bad, but I just need to shoot. I'll go ahead and hit him with this. Damn. Alrighty. I think I'll move you over here to get a good vantage point on these douchebags. Alright.
The enemies of the Emperor will be undone. Eradicated.
Nice. Alright. That's all of these douchebags here. There's only 2 more left. Okay. No, there's several more. Okay. But we are making steady progress, which is nice.
Faith without deeds is worthless.
No cover around here. Could I still aim at those guys? No. Very unfortunate. And I'm pretty sure if I was to move here, they'd still be able to fire at me, right? When the lines of sight are red or yellow, do they mean that they can't shoot me from my cover vantage point? I'm not seeing anything that specifies it. Alright, whatever. Moving on. $34, $32. This is actually not a half bad targeting range. Let's go with that, shall we? Actually, you know what? Before I do that, let's use this. Alright, let's do it.
God Emperor, move through me.
It's every combat instance, so as long as I'm quick and efficient with it, it should be fine.
None can escape the Emperor's judgment.
Nice! Alright. That was beautiful. Yeah, starting a new playthrough on my main account was definitely the right decision, because it's got me more comfortable with the combat system.
I'll do it.
And I can still shoot at this douche.
As the Emperor commands, I act. Doubt is for the weak.
I am missing every shot so far.
As the Emperor commands, I act.
Wonderful. Alright. Let's go ahead, reload the bolter, call it a day.
My faith strengthens me.
Alright, idea, it's just us now, so we're gonna move you up and just get you in position for the slaughter. We'll use Psychic Scream.
Will do.
Murder this fool.
Anything else?
Oh, it does build up. Son of a bitch. Alright. Let's go ahead and turn that into a weakness. No, this will be simple. Actually, do I even need to go up to him? Yeah, if I want to guarantee hit, maybe. Alright, let's do it.
Victory is imminent.
Just on the off chance that it hits, I'm gonna want to take it.
I took care of this one.
Nice. We did it. I don't think anyone got damaged from that, too. Alright. We're getting more and more used to the mechanics, fellas. It's been a while since I played a CRPG.
Let us not dawdle.
We just got a lot more las guns. Scrappy las gun. Las gun. Are effective against targets in cover and targets with high dodge. Not seeing any real benefit to a scrappy las gun, but whatever. Pretty sure she won't need this. Definitely not. Alright. Spinner's blade. Shotgun. Honestly, I'm tempted to put a fucking shotgun in her hand and a bolter in mine. Hmm. That one has good range, though. Alright. What's this? Shock batons? Yeah, there's nothing in here that I really want to equip the characters with. Hmm. We'll add it to cargo for now. And of course, the flak armor sucks. Alright. That's done and over with. Alright. Anything else we're missing? No? Alrighty. Alright. So, with that, I think I will end this episode here. We're off on an interesting start with Rykod Minoris. The planet's under siege. There's a rebellion happening. There seems to be some sort of bullshit at play here. Probably the same level of bullshit that I expect from the mutiny on my ship. But I don't know. We'll just have to figure that out as we get to it, right? At any rate, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this episode here. Thank you all so much for watching. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.